Hello, everybody. This is Howard, the Teaserking, coming to you for the second time with my Super Bowl pick. I just did it, and it deleted for some reason. I couldn't upload it. So let's do it again. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Okay, let's break the game down. Seattle at New England right now. The spread I see mostly at all the internet and Vegas casinos. Seattle is getting a point. New England -1, 48, 48.5. It's your over/under. A couple of places I see it even, but we want points because we want underdogs. This game is fairly even. I like Seattle getting the 7, buy it up to 7.5, and go under 54.5. Let's break the game down. Basically, I look at the trends first. There's a huge trend on Seattle as a road dog, 16-2. If New England is the dog, there's a huge trend on New England being the dog. You'll take New England as the dog. We want the dog in this game. This game should be very close. I'm saying 27-20. It wouldn't surprise me if it was 24-17. Seattle winning. I see Seattle winning because they just have the better defense. When we look at the matchups, let's look at New England first. New England has trouble with really strong defensive teams. They had trouble with Baltimore when they had Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. That's when they lost to them. Baltimore doesn't have the same defense this year. That's how they beat them. And then you look at them against New England against the Jets, and that's a team they play twice a year without even a good quarterback. And the Jets give them all kinds of problems. They put pressure on Brady, and they play the good defense. So basically, against really good defensive teams, and let's look at them in the Super Bowl against the Giants. They struggled, who had a good pass rush. So New England against these tough defensive teams, they just don't, if they do win, it's by a point or two, but generally, I don't see New England has a very good defense. They struggle. Yeah, I guess Andrew Luck was one dimension, and that's really the key to this is the betting mentality of everybody is, oh, they just blew out Indy 42-7, so therefore they're going to blow out Seattle. It doesn't work that way, the game. First of all, they're not playing Indy, and Indy's weak defense, and they're not playing at home. They're playing in Arizona. It's funny there. That game, the Fiesta Bowl or game playoff or Super Bowl games played there, generally goes to the underdog. I think the Pitt, Arizona one was there, and I had Arizona. The dog won there too, or covered. Didn't win the game straight out, but we don't care. We just care about what the points. I just look at the matchups. You have a good quarterback in Brady. They're not going to be able to run on Seattle. Nobody does that. If you want a comparison, let's walk at Seattle against Green Bay, New Orleans, Denver. 3 teams with elite quarterbacks, decent tight ends, decent running attacks, and they got nothing against Seattle. And not always at home. But basically, Green Bay has Eddie Lacy. They have Aaron Rodgers. They got great wide receivers. Okay, and let's go back to week 1 where Rodgers was healthy. They blew him out. Seattle blew out Green Bay. Look at against Denver. They blew him out in the Super Bowl. They had him week 3 or 4. And it was like 17-3 late in the game, and I think Denver got a field goal and a touchdown to tie the game to go to overtime, and Seattle took care of them there. And I don't think Manning had 200 yards in that game. Rodgers didn't have 200 last week. They had a short field all over the place. They couldn't score touchdowns with Rodgers. Breeze got killed twice last year by Seattle, once in the playoffs. Seattle against these passing quarterbacks has that secondary and a good pass rush. You do not move the ball very well or very far on Seattle, and you do not score a lot of points against Seattle. That's why we're going under, because Seattle is a very good ball control team. They'll come up with some surprise plays, and they'll score. I mean, they're not as weak offensively. It's Russell Wilson. He's a very good quarterback. They just don't have Randy Moss or Des Bryant or Calvin Johnson, a wide receiver. But that's another thing. Those teams aren't. They're not here. They're not in the. Well, forget Randy Moss, but they're not in. They're not in the Super Bowl. They didn't win their conference. So it shows you that stud receiver, you can't really do anything with. Now Belichick, he likes to take the best player away. Makes sense. If he was playing Dallas, he'd take Des Bryant out. He'd put Revis on him. Okay, what do you do with Seattle? Their best players, Marshawn Lynch and Russell Wilson. How is he going to take them out? You can't. He can't do it. He can't put 9 guys, 10 guys on the line and say, we're going to stop Marshawn Lynch and make Russell Wilson beat him. Because you know what? They'll run the read option on him all day, and Russell Wilson will go crazy. They'll put up 200 yards running the ball if they put 9, 10 in the box. You can't do it. What receivers are going to take away? They don't have any, like, superstars. So who's he going to take away? Curse? He's going to take away... I can't even name the Seattle receivers. They got the tight end Wilson. They got another wide receiver. I can't think of his name. I mean, these are guys, go ahead, take them away. It doesn't matter. It's all pounding Lynch, Wilson running around, and then Wilson on these passes to anybody, the tight ends, the receivers, the running backs. It doesn't matter. And Seattle will get their 20 points or so, and New England will be lucky to get to 20. So this is where I'm breaking the game down. So based on common opponents, Seattle shuts down good passing quarterbacks. Nobody's better than Brady. And New England, their defense just isn't that good. I mean, they had trouble against Baltimore with Joe Flacco, for Christ's sakes. I mean, you got to be kidding me. You couldn't stop Joe Flacco? Okay, they had Indy was just Andrew Luck, but no running and no defense. So basically, they just ran the ball down their throats. Well, you're not going to do that against Seattle. Eddie Lacy couldn't do it against Seattle. Whoever's out there is not going to do it against Seattle. They don't, they don't do that. Now, one little warning is Dallas did beat Seattle, but I don't think Seattle was full strength at the time earlier in the year, and they had the running back, and the wide receiver Des Bryant and DeMarco Murray able to cause a little bit of problems. Really, the only weak point that you have in a defense like Seattle is the tight end. And the only team that really beat them when I was at the game in San Diego was Antonio Gates. He got 3 touchdowns on him. He's a big tight end, and it was just they covered him. He just made some great catches. Gronk's not like that. Gronk's not going to make those catches. Gronk's a great tight end, and I think they'll have a little bit of problem with him, but Indy shut him down. I think they'll just, their secondary is so talented, they'll find somebody who will take him away. And I just see that happening. So I just don't see New England. There's no way they're going to blow out Seattle. Not with that defense. Not the way they're coached. Russell Wilson. I mean, they were going to lose. They were going to lose to Green Bay last week. All the turnovers, and the defense still held Green Bay to 200 yards with Aaron Rodgers. And you just know going in, you're not going to score a lot on Seattle. So that's why I like the under. And Seattle's a power running team with Lynch and Wilson. He won't have the turnovers, and Curse hopefully doesn't tip every ball to the defense. So I'm definitely looking at that being, you're not going to have Russell Wilson playing, like a high school quarterback again. So, and even as bad as he played, they still won the game, which is even more remarkable. I just think if I break the game down, better coach, I'm going to say is Coach Pete. He's won more at USC. He's got to play Frisco and Arizona every year, who were, until this year, Arizona was very good, but Frisco kind of went down. But the prior 2 years, he played Frisco every year, which was really the best team in the league. Even though they didn't win the Super Bowl. So he found a way to beat them. And the real Super Bowl last year was Frisco-Seattle, and he won that game. He knows how to win the big games. Belichick really doesn't. I mean, okay, he's been to 5 Super Bowls. He won 3 of them by 3 points. He didn't blow out anybody. He's nothing spectacular against a weak Carolina team and a weak Philly team. And then he beat the Ram team basically on decent defense, and even that was going to overtime. So who's he really blown out? If he doesn't have Brady, he's just an average coach. I'm tired of hearing that, like Charlie Weiss. He's the offensive coordinator on New England. It doesn't matter who the offensive coordinator is. It's all Tom Brady. If you think the offensive coordinator does anything more than just say, can I get you a pop, Tom? You want coffee? What do you want? You want some juice? get him a hot dog, get him pizza. I mean, that's all he does. There's no way, they might call the play, but at the end of the day, Brady's looking at the defense going, that's where I'm going, and that's what he does. So this whole stuff doesn't make sense. Coach Pete's got Russell Wilson and Lynch. He's got this great defense. He coaches. He won at USC in the big games. I find him to be actually the better coach. I know everybody will argue, oh, Belichick, yeah, but against the Giants, all he had to do was run the ball against the Giants. I mean, that was a joke, and they couldn't do it. So I didn't really understand that. There's no way they should have lost 2 games to the Giants. They would have watched any of the film and watched how Dallas played them and Philly played them during the year and saw you had to run the ball against a great pass rush. I mean, so where was his coaching then? Why weren't they running the ball then? Sorry, I thought that was ridiculous. He didn't put pressure on Manning at the end, and either of them, and let the plays happen. They were flukes, but if you put a blitz on him, guess what? He doesn't get the ball off. They don't make the catch. So, I got to disagree that he's this great coach. If he doesn't have Brady, he doesn't win 1 Super Bowl. He didn't. I don't even think it was 500 at Cleveland, and he was good with Parcells. That's fine, but he had Lawrence Taylor there, so I don't buy this. Coach Pete's, I think, a better coach. Quarterback goes to Brady. He's the second best all time. You got Montana, the best all time, and then I'll give it to Brady second. The defense goes to Seattle by a mile. Running goes to Seattle by a mile, and the intangibles go to Seattle. You have Russell Wilson and Sherman versus you have Gronk. So you give a little bit to Gronk, but basically there's 2 on Seattle that make the plays that they are winners. They know how to win. That's basically the breakdown of it. So the trend favors the dog in this game, and at this point you got New England laying 1.5. Take Seattle plus the 7 or buy the half for 7.5. Unit-wise, normally on a Sunday, you'd probably bet 8 to 10 units on my games. If you're a $100 player, we'll keep it simple. So you'd be betting $800, $1,000 on a Sunday. That's what I would play on this game: $600, $700, $800 on this teaser, which is what you'd play on a normal Sunday. And that's what I'd play on this. Definitely, I'd get it in right now. Seattle plus the 7.5, under 54.5. There's no way there are going to be a lot of points in this game unless you have 3 kickoff returns for touchdowns, or punt returns, or pick sixes and fumble returns. And I mean, you need 2 or 3 of that combination. So you need a punt return, kickoff return, and a pick six to get this game over 54.5. Otherwise, you saw Green Bay had trouble scoring touchdowns. Seattle came back, but if they had the lead, they wouldn't have had to score all the points. And it was a fluke, the onside kick that worked. But basically, you're not going to get, this game will be lucky. 27 they'll be lucky to get to. 27-20. I think it's more of a 24-17 game, Seattle winning. I just don't see New England being able to score more than 20 points. And then, because they're not playing Indy at home. I mean, that's the thing. This is at Arizona against the best defense since the Baltimore defense beat the Giants. And New England had a lot of trouble, and they never scored a lot of points against that defense. They lost the 2 games at home. Everybody's crediting Flacco. What did he do? Flacco didn't do anything in those games. It was all Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, and that's what you got here with Sherman and all the Seattle defense. They're going to put pressure on Brady. Blunt's not going to get 50 yards. Now, I would get this game in. Now, if Seattle switches, now you got a week. You got the wise guys making their bets on Sunday, the big shooters. They could move the line to Seattle favored. If you can get over 1.5, 1.5, then I would bet back New England plus 7.5 with the under. But I like Seattle a whole lot more as the dog than New England. I'm not sure that'll happen. You might get a 2 on this game somewhere, but I don't know that it's going to really, all of a sudden, New England goes to a 4-point favorite, or Seattle goes to a 3-point favorite. if everything remains the same and there's no injuries, and they don't say, Brady, you're out because of what happened last week, then, otherwise, if everything just remains the same, this spread should be about, you might get New England laying 2, and that would be it. So definitely take Seattle, get to 7.5, go under, absolutely the way to go. What else can I say about it? Matchups, Seattle doesn't let strong passing teams beat them. Like I said, the only weakness was Antonio Gates got a few touchdowns on him in San Diego in 100-degree heat, and there was a few injuries to Seattle that day. So I know Sherman's a little banged up, but he's going to play. It doesn't matter. He played holding the hand, so he'll be, he's had 2 weeks to recover. So I'm not worried about that. Just because Brady's there doesn't mean they're going to put 40 points up. Nobody puts 40 points up on Seattle. You're not going to get that type of game. You're going to get a low scoring in the 20 game, maybe not even in the 20s. That's what I look at. So that's what I would do. I definitely would take right now we're taking Seattle 7.5, under 54.5. Like I said, if Seattle, don't chase Seattle. If they go to a 2-point favorite, don't play Seattle -4 or +4. Get the bet in now while you can get 7.5. That's what I would do. After that, get the game. Now if it moves to 2, then you can decide, do I want New England in 8 with the under or not. Otherwise, just play the Seattle. I think it's the better half to play Seattle as the dog. Like I said, they're 16-2 as a road dog. They play passing teams extremely well. And New England's defense, good luck stopping Marshawn Lynch. Like I said, Belichick likes to take the best player away. He's going to have to put 9 in the box, which will leave Wilson running that option play, or the read option. So as they come in on Lynch, he'll just walk around it. So they can't put 9 men, 10 men in the box. It's not going to happen. Not going to do that. And New England had trouble against Baltimore with the kid from Cal. What's his name? I can't think of his name. He's Forsett. Forsett had a huge game against them. I mean, you got to be kidding. What do you think Lynch is going to do? That's about it. So take Seattle in the points right now. They're the better dog to have. They should win the game, barring another 5-interception game by Russell Wilson. Everything, if he plays a normal game, Seattle should win by about a touchdown. Tease the dog at this point. If the dog switches, tease the dog. Don't chase the favorite. And definitely an under. There's not going to be a lot of points in this game. No chance. Not against Seattle's defense. You're not going to score a lot. And Seattle normally doesn't score. Normally they'll be in the 20s. Just like against the Packers. It'll be just about that game. It'll be another Seattle-Green Bay game. Just figure that. Rodgers didn't do anything against them. And with all the breaks they had, Green Bay couldn't blow them out. Even if they didn't get the onside kick, it would have been Green Bay 19-14. So they would have lost by 5. As bad as they played, giving up the ball at the 5-yard line, 5 turnovers, and it was still 19-14 against Aaron Rodgers. So that's my point. They got the fluky touchdown, so I'm not betting against them here, but even with all that going on, it's not like Green Bay got 2 gifts at the 20-yard line, didn't put up a lot of points. So New England's not going to score in the 30s. That's not going to happen here. They'll be lucky to get into the 20s, and that's what you're going to have. A lot of Lynch, a lot of running, short passing by Seattle. They'll come out, and this is where I give Coach Pete the edge. Coach Pete, New England, you know what you're getting. Brady's going to make the snap throw to Amendola and Edelman, these little 5-yard passes, and once around the Gronk, and Blunt's going to run. But this isn't Indy's defense they're playing. You've got to understand that. This is the #1 defense in the last 10 years, and they're used to playing Frisco, Seattle. And they move the ball on Frisco. They'll move the ball in New England. The more I talk about it, the more I like Seattle. Even stronger. I mean, they'll move on them without a problem. This game should be very close. You will not get a blowout unless Seattle just, Brady starts throwing pick sixes. But he's not like Manning. Manning's a crybaby who, as soon as there's pressure on him, he starts, I don't want to get hit, I don't want to get hurt, and he throws the ball away and, rushes and everything. So there's a whole different thing with Manning and Brady. Brady is a winner and Manning's not. You know, how many times does Manning go one and done and Brady gets to the Super Bowl, you know, 6 times? But New England's not a blowout team. I mean, yeah, at home against the Indy, but not, you know, they didn't blow out Baltimore, and they're certainly not going to blow out. Nobody blows out Seattle. So anyway, that's what I see. I'll be really focused. Seattle's defense. That's the key. Coach Pete will have enough key plays. Russell Wilson, and they should win the game. So take Seattle and take the under. Good luck, everybody. If you want to contact me later in the week, again, it's www.teaserking.com. Go onto the home page. There'll be an email. You can email me. You can leave me a comment here. Again, if Seattle goes to a 2-point favorite on Sunday, it's up to you. If you want to take New England in 8 and go under, you can do that. But I don't. This isn't a game you trap because we haven't won the first half. We had Ohio State and Seattle last week. Ohio State wins on Monday night. Now you got Seattle, but Ohio State had already won, so I could have taken Green Bay in 6 or 7 and trapped the teaser. But here you can't trap it because you haven't won the first half. So if you have New England, if you have Seattle plus 7.5 and under, and then you play New England plus 7.5 and under, well, if they score a lot of points and they get the kickoff returns, and you win the teams but you lose the under, you lost both bets. I don't want to have that risk. You don't risk losing both bets. You only risk if once Ohio State won, then you could have played both teams, and you're either going to win with Seattle or you're going to win with Green Bay, or you would have trapped that game. But you win one of the bets. You have to win one, and you can't lose them both. So we don't want to play where you could lose them both. So you don't really want to do that. So it's just, at this point, take Seattle and go under. That's the best play of the whole thing, and go from there. All right, everybody. Well, good luck. Enjoy the Super Bowl. It's been another great year. We'll see everybody next year. We'll recap some stats and things like that, this week and next week. And I'll have some more videos as we go. All right, everybody. Take care. Good luck, and I hope everybody makes a killing next week.